You didn't do it into that one? Or that one?
I was going to do it to this.
That's fine, yeah, because
I just thought there's just two of us. And
yeah, so that's good, but you kind of
we'd have to,
like
yeah,
this.
sort of lean in a bit.
Which I turn the table around and face it.
We're unmuted. Cool. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're just going to sort of chat between ourselves for a couple of minutes, just in case anyone else drops in. But yeah, I'm Jazz. I'm from the ICMP events team.
My name is Ace, and I work on the industry partnerships and the business development here.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to you today about the London music scene. But like I said, we'll just give it another minute just to let a couple more people drop in. And then, yeah, we'll get started.
And if you can drop us a message saying hello in the chat, it means you can hear us talking. That would probably be really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, we'll just be talking to ourselves for a whole hour.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, there we go. Hi Ross. Hello. Oh, there we go. People are dropping in. And also, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to either put them in the chat, or there's a Q&A function as well. At any point, just whack them in. We've got some questions to work through of our own. That we've used before and that we've just pulled them from our experiences. But yeah, we're really happy to answer your questions. It's good. Oh, the audio's all good.
Yeah, that's great.
News.
Fantastic.
Good news.
So what have we got going on? Should we just tell some, while we're waiting for people, tell people what's going on here? We've got summer schools.
Yeah,
at the
very busy
moment.
at the minute, isn't it? In a good way. It's buzzing in the building.
110 people in today for summer schools, which is doubled from last year, which is really good. Yeah, which is doubled from the year before because it was COVID and it was closed.
Yeah, fair enough.
But last year we relaunched them again for the first time after the pandemic break, and it was really successful. And as I said, this year it's doubled. We've got five summer schools. So we have music production in Ableton and Logic. We've got songwriting, they're happening at the moment. We've had performance last week, which was drums, bass, guitar, and vocals. Next week, we have music business, like for artists, and we have mix and mastering. So brilliant. And it looks like they're all sold out, which is really amazing, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just really nice to have everyone in because all the full-time students on the undergrad courses are away for the summer. Yeah. So it's been quiet for a few weeks, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, and you know what's super nice about it with ICMP as well is the fact that it's really collaborative. So we've got master classes going on where everyone collaborates, and then even like on the lunch hours, everyone's sitting there chatting, eating their food, or going to the park together. Last week they were all singing songs. This week they'll all be writing songs together. So it's a really amazing community, and people are so nice. And I think it's like this relief as well that like, oh, we're all back here together as humans, doing something that's interactive and really creative. So it's an amazing week, very busy. Last week was awesome. We had a gig, and the gig, right? Yeah, we did whole week of technique and master classes and all that kind of stuff, and then he ended up with a gig in the Camden Assembly. Oh, nice! Which everybody loves. It's a classic venue. Great venue. It was full as well, which is like a full gig, which is even more amazing. Yeah. And everyone played, and I think there was like there's four performance groups of bands all mixed up, and they played about 20 songs, and it went down a storm. It was the best ever summer school.
Nice. That is
best
really
ever.
Nice. There you
cool.
Go. That rolls us on nicely to gigs, actually.
Yes.
The London music scene itself. So yeah, I think we'll get started with our questions. Yeah. So let's first talk about maybe our favourite venues in London. Do you have any personal faves, Ace? I do. I to go and see a really good show, like a kind of big, kind of medium-sized band, I would go to Brixton Academy. Yeah. Brixton Academy is amazing. It's like just this classic old venue that holds 5,000 people when it's full, so upstairs and downstairs. Great sound, easy location to get to, just off the high street from Brixton Tube. I've seen like all of my favourite bands there. So I've seen back in the day Rage Against the Machine and Soundgarden and, you know, all of those great bands there. But I played there myself. So I played there last month, I think it was, or the month before last. Yeah. So Brixton's one of my favourites. If I was going for small gigs, I really like the Assembly, Camden Assembly. Yeah, yeah. That's super nice. Lots of up and coming bands. Sometimes really established bands do showcases in there. Yeah, they do. That's always really fun as well. I think was it 21 Pilots that's just done that? They did a run of shows and they started on a really small venue, then worked up, did Camden Assembly, and then ended up at the O2.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. O2 is good, the really big one. Yeah. That's kind of fun because that's a day out. Yes. You know, restaurants, shopping, bars, you know, all that kind of thing. Yeah. It's like it's expensive, but it's like if you're going to do it, come to London and do it. Yeah, so absolutely. That's really nice. And then I would have thought smaller ones. I really like the Black Heart in Camden.
I've not been.
It's upstairs in a pub, like a really kind of a bit of a rock and roll dark pub with all, you know, neons.
Dive, but in a good way.
Yeah. But the upstairs, it's small. It probably holds 100 and some people.
Oh, nice.
But that's a really good gig, an underground gig. And then what about over? I mean, you probably know this as well, like Brixton way. There's some more stuff south, isn't there? There's the Windmill, isn't there?
Yeah, and there's the Half Moon Putney. Yeah. And then if you go out east, is it Moth Club? That's meant to be a really, really great venue. I think Lady Gaga's played there, but it's small. It's there's 200 or 300 cap, but it's like this really, it's got like colourful streamers and it's all like neon. It's amazing. Yeah. And then just south of the river is O'Meara in London Bridge. Right. We did our ICMP end of year showcase here this year. In May, 350 people, and we sold out. There was people queuing around blocks to get in.
We also do the ICMP, like the freshers and all those kind of things, graduation kind of stuff, in Islington Assembly, don't we, as well?
Yeah, that's a great venue.
What a great place that is. The vibe, the sound, the look of the place, it's amazing. You play loads of gigs yourself, don't you, in London? Where do you play if you're playing kind of smaller places?
Yeah, I do a lot of like pub gigs, support slots type things. So there's the waiting room in Stoke, is it Stoke Newington? Yeah, which is about 100 capacity. Really nice little venue. It's so pretty. It's just nice to see a really like aesthetically pleasing venue, which is really great. Where else have I played? You know what? Down the road in Maida Vale, there's a little pub called the Carlton Tavern. It doesn't even have a stage, but they have a little corner where like a lot of emerging musicians go to play. And a lot of people, it's not ICMP affiliated, but it's full of ICMP students.
Right. Okay.
And I was there on Friday night, and there was half of us were ICMP and half of us were Brit School.
Oh, okay.
So it was really interesting to sort of get to network with those people, just having that opportunity. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I mean, this is the amazing thing about London. The amazing thing about London is the fact that, I mean, there's a venue on every corner, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's like anything from literally the Betsy Trotwood, which is like the size of the room we're sat in. I mean, it's the smallest venue I've ever been to in my life. It's amazing, right? Right up to the O2 Arena, right? And there's Wembley Stadium as well. I mean, you don't really get another town in England that's got the opportunity to play, right? So there's millions of gigs, no matter how big or small you are as a band. And also all the record labels are here. Yeah. So if you are doing shows and showcases in London, it's quite easy to get people to come down and see you just because they can get there. They can get there on the tube. So the heart of the music business is here, not just to play, but to be seen. Yeah. You know, to be really seen. And what about, we're talking about all these things. O2, very expensive gig, 100 quid a ticket, right? Yeah. What about free places to play?
Yeah, so there's quite a few. I'll start with we'll start with open mics, because I think as a student, that's probably where you're likely to start your journey as a performer.
Big cut there.
Yeah, we've got the matching ones for this. But yeah, so there's a few hanging around. There's the North London Tavern, which is our local. They do one every Wednesday, which is full of ICMPers. The Camden Eye, just outside of Camden Town Station, just on the Northern Line, or you can get the Overground. They do I think it's a Thursday night jam night, which is free to attend. It is run by a former student as well, which is quite good. I'm trying to think where else we've got.
Ben plays in the Spiritual Bar in Camden. That's free, isn't it? Free. Yeah, that's really cool. That's opposite the Assembly. Yeah. So I know the Spiritual Bar. There's actually a lot of live venues that you can get in free for like smaller bands, because the bar likes to kind of take the money from the bar, so they'll let people in free. So you can always go out for nothing. Yes. Right, in London, as long as you've got your tube pass or you're prepared to walk a lot. Right. There is definitely a free evening there, right? With live music. And also, the amazing thing is a lot of artists started here. So you get the chance to see people. I mean, I saw Coldplay play in the Camden Assembly. Did you? Yeah. Back in the day, to about 10 people.
That's amazing.
Right at the beginning. I mean, I saw 100 Reasons there before they got signed. I saw them on the gig, they actually got picked up. So I've seen loads of bands, Stereophonics, I was at their first show in London. Oasis, I booked their first show in London. Really? So I've seen loads and loads of really huge bands play their first shows here, just for free in bars, because that's how it goes. So it's very easy to go out and discover this kind of stuff. What's exciting about it is it does mean that you know that opportunity is there as well. So if you are an artist, you're a young artist and, you know, just breaking through or just starting out, playing in these kind of places, it is possible to kind of get discovered. Absolutely, yeah. And like you said, possible to attend and just get involved with it. I mean,
So Phoebe Bridges is playing, is it Brixton Academy? She is playing Brixton Academy this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I got a message saying, do you want to guest this pass? If I could provide a weighted keyboard for someone as a favour. And that works a lot in the ICMP community. It's like, I can get you tickets to this place if you can give me this thing. And it's all a bit, helping each other out.
Well, this is the thing about, like, you know, about musicians, it's a community, right? And that's what we all got to remember, is because we all help each other all the time. You know, if you're working in a normal office job in insurance, no one's really going to help each other out in that sense, right? Whereas musicians go, I need to get somewhere, I need to do this, I need to pay that. If you can help me here, I'll help you there. So, you know, networks are really important, aren't they? Collaborating in networks are really important, not just playing. It's knowing people. You know, like, for instance, when I first came to London, I was broke, I didn't have a penny, but I still managed to get in everywhere. Right. And it was because, oh, well, I'll lug the gear for you, or I'll tech for you, or I'll give out flyers or sell tickets on the door. I'd do anything to kind of get into the venues for nothing because I couldn't afford it. And I think music, it gives you that chance, because we need collaboration to keep it going, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah. Honestly, it's really great to see, especially across our community here.
What about getting a gig in London? How do you go about getting a gig in London? And I'll tell you how I go about it.
Yeah, very different sort of levels, genres, everything. So I have like an indie pop project that's, you know, starting to make its way into the world now. So I'm looking for like support slots. We do a little bit of open mic stuff, but yeah, we're looking to get on a bill with a bigger band. So doing a bit of research. You have to be a little bit careful with some of the promoters in London, because they're not all as friendly as you might expect them to be. But yeah, as long as you're sort of doing your research, talking to your network and saying, who have you booked a gig with? You know, go to a gig, see your friends play, go and have a chat with the promoter, go and see what's what. And there's a few around that will book you. There's Talent Bank, who we work with, who have an artist roster going. They do some acoustic nights at like the Green Note in Camden. And at the Camden Chapel, which is in the Irish Centre, which is a really, really great little venue. And like literally it's in the old little chapel in the attic of this community centre. It's amazing. Then yeah, have a chat with like venue managers and stuff. The Fiddler's really great down the road from us.
Do you need like a showcase of stuff? Do you have to have like links online so people will book you?
Yeah, usually, or they've seen you before play. But obviously when you're starting, that's like saying, oh, you can't get the job because you haven't got the work experience and all that cycle. Yeah, ideally, if you've got something like rehearsal material, just record a band practice, record an open mic, record something to show what you're doing, and also being a bit active on social media, sort of getting involved with different things, sharing your work, sharing links. SoundCloud links are great as well. Yeah, for the venues to sort of, you know, they could have a chat with you and love you and think, oh, they're really great, I'd love to book them. If they don't know what your music's like, because you're not out there in any way, how will they know if you're, you know, the right person for the job? Well,
I mean, and aside from that, that is like, you know, going for it on your own. The amazing thing about ICMP is you can actually, well, there's two ways. One is you can book gigs. So you're part of the events team, so you can tell us about this, booking gigs through the events team. And also you have the Belong scheme, don't you?
Yes.
And the Belong scheme is really cool, which is actually helps you to put on your own gig. It's not this, it's teaching a person to fish, you know?
It absolutely is, yes. So we'll be running a bit of an induction event about that it'll be just after Freshers. And we'll be talking to you about how you can get involved. But essentially, we know a lot of students want to put on their own events because it isn't the easiest thing in the world to get some of these gigs. And if you want to get on a great lineup, why not do it yourself? So yeah, we offer the funding, we offer the mentorship, and generally give you everything you need, the tools to create an event that maybe you can then take on and make a regular thing, a residency, whatever you think it might be. But yeah, absolutely. And if you have any ideas for any of that at the moment, just have a chat with one of us. As soon as you see us, as soon as you're here for Freshers, come and see us, come and tell us what you want to do and we'll help you make it happen.
And there's some, you use some great venues, don't you, as well? So this is the advantage, is like, getting involved with the events team earlier on, you know, even if you're not ready to play a show, you can still be talking to people and getting the information of how to play the shows when you're ready. But I mean, ICMP, off the top of my head, right, you'll be able to tell me more. There's Nambuka you use, there's the Fiddler, there's obviously the Camden Assembly, right? I'm trying to think of, there's what's this? There was you tell me some of the places that you book as a booker for ICMP.
So there's 229 the venue.
That's right.
We've also chatted to Bush Hall, but I don't think we've got anything with them for Freshers as
Bush
of yet.
Hall's nice.
Yeah, really nice venue.
Yeah.
Obviously we've booked O'Meara. Trying to think where else we've been. There's a couple in Dorset in the east that we've booked out. It's not the Victoria, although we've been talking about that this morning. Trying to think now. There's just so many places. There's the Fiddler's Elbow as well in Camden, which people often get confused with the Fiddler. And if you're booking a gig at either or, tell your friends which one it is, give them the address. Because we put on a gig at the Fiddler in June and about 6 people went to the wrong place and they were ringing us and we're like, oh.
And also, you know what we do have, right? Apart from like, you know, gig, we also have performance opportunities in different places, don't we? So I know for a fact that we're involved with the Global Youth Awards, right?
Yeah.
And this year we've got performance spaces in Magazine, which is the performance kind of, it's a venue opposite the O2 Arena, and it takes 3,000 people, something like that. And so the Global Youth Awards are going to be putting on their awards there, and we're going to have our students playing on that ceremony or at that ceremony as well, which is kind of going to be amazing, and the tickets are going to be free as well, which is really nice.
There you go, another free event.
Yeah, so things happen like that. We place people into showcases, award ceremonies, corporate events. You know, so when they pop up, we can put people in. And the great thing about those things are, it's not just the performance, it's the people you meet. So it's the networks, you know, you'll meet the global awards people, and they might go, well, we're doing something in LA or Dubai, because they've got them all around the world, and you never know, you could be that person that gets on the plane. So these opportunities do come up, they are genuine, they do happen, and we message them out when we're here as well, don't we? So apart from that, right, we talked about putting on your own gig, right? What about working in music venues, right? Because music venues, working in them is another way of creating a network, isn't it? It's like of making things happen for yourself as an artist. You know, you might work somewhere else doing something else, but you've got the connections to get into those places, okay?
Exactly.
What kind of stuff do people do typically as students in London working in venues?
So there's a couple of ways you can go about it as working in a venue. You could work on the bar. I did that at the O2 actually in my first year. I got to see loads of gigs for free. It was amazing. So literally everyone from like Liam Gallagher to Halsey to BTS doing like a first look sound check special. When I tell people that, like, you know, people pay hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and if you work in a venue like that, you get paid to see these people. And a lot of it works via agencies. So you'll sign up to a different staffing agency. There's loads of them, about like dozens of them, and they'll all pay it. It's about £9-10 an hour. It's not a bad job to pour some pints in a venue, and it's a good way to work. You get to pick your shifts, so often they'll email out a list of gigs basically and say who can work the 1975, who can work, you know, Oasis if they ever did a reunion, you know, that kind of thing, and then you can sign up to the ones you want. So actually you can make it work around your studies as well, which is really useful. And the other route you could go down is the more technical side. So we have a lot of students who work as sound engineers in venues. For example, we have like a good maybe half a dozen that have done Camden Assembly over the past couple of years, which again, really great way to meet people. And especially if you're having some of these showcase gigs at these venues and you're the sound engineer booked to, you know, work for them, you're going to make a connection straight away, which is really, really great.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you said about doing working where you said you worked in a bar and you watched all those bands. When I was younger, before I was signed, I worked in a club and I did the lights. You know, and it was literally pressing a few buttons type of thing. So, but what I did get to do is see hundreds of bands, right, performing, right from, you know, the unknown people to, it was Britpop time, so it was Ecobelly and Sleeper and Oasis and all this type of stuff. And I saw these bands perform when I did the lights. And what it did do is it kind of taught me stagecraft without actually doing a lot of it. So I was watching them going, that looks good, and that's great, and maybe I shouldn't do that, you know, and that's awful, and that's amazing, I'll steal that move, and things like that. And I watched all these bands for free, you know, and got paid a tenner or something for doing the lights, but it was invaluable for me as an artist. It was like a brilliant learning curve at the same time as being part of the network. And then the funny thing was, that venue, I booked the first gigs for my band now, which we got signed in the same place, and I still have a lot of those connections. That's nearly 30 years ago, around me now, but those connections are now really high up in the music industry.
Yeah, because everyone's continually making the moves to go like this, so you want to be going up with them, don't you? They're all helping each other.
So here's a question for you, going out in London, okay? Right, so London's expensive, right? There is no doubt, right? I went out the other day, right, and it was like £6.80 a pint. I was like, where have I been? I've been away for a few months, but not like 10 years. Yeah. And it was crazy expensive. And this was in a normal pub, right? This was, just like a normal pub in Crouch End. It wasn't an expensive bar. I've been in a few bars and there's £12, £15 a drink sometimes, right? So what about going out on a budget, right, as a student? What would you kind of expect to spend if you were kind of having a night out and seeing a bit of music, having a drink? What kind of places would you go, and what kind of, what would it cost you for a night out?
Yeah, it all depends on the kind of night out. But if you're heading for sort of maybe a night where one of your friends' bands is playing, let's say, for example, they're playing the Camden Club, because I know we've got a few bands playing there from ICMP in a couple of weeks. Tickets are maybe £7, so you paid £7 there. And then we'll probably have a couple of drinks before you go, because as students we love a bit of a pre-drink. I don't know if I should be promoting that on here, but here it is what we do. So you'll probably have a couple of drinks before you go. You'll probably pay for your tube. So let's say put £5 on for travel there and back. You're probably going to get on a couple of buses or a tube. So you're at £12 currently, which isn't that bad so far. But it's when you get there, and obviously the drinks. So a lot of these places do have student discounts. Yeah, take your student card. The North London Tavern down the road does. Loads of places in Kilburn offer a little bit of a
lot around college food as well, isn't it? Food and drinks. And also, we all know that, if you go into a venue, usually there's a Wetherspoons close to it.
So true.
Exactly. And Wetherspoons is like, I think that's where I've been going too long. Right? Because when I went to this bar and it was like £6.80 a pint, I was like, oh my Lord, what happened there?
This is not Spoons prices.
Yeah, this is not Spoons. But so and the other thing is going out on a night and, spending your money or not spending your money, you have to be safe, don't you, in London? What's the kind of things you need to look out for when you're first being a student in London on your own?
I mean, the first thing I would advise is that wherever you're going, before you go, plan how you're going to get home. Is there a night tube running? What buses would you get on? Who are you going home with? Make sure that you know, and if you're going out with your housemates, come back with your housemates and just make sure you're all on the same page. Another great thing to get is City Mapper. It's an app with a little green icon. You'll see it on the App Store, and it literally plans your journey door to door, where to get the bus, which stop to get on at, how long to wait. Even on the tube, it tells you like which carriage is the quietest to sit on, which is really great. I love that in rush hour. But yeah, trying to think what else. Obviously having your card on you and an Oyster card as well, and just really keeping an eye on your possessions and just being safe, sticking together.
London is amazing. It is the city of opportunity and all that type of thing. But we have to remember it is a big city, and you've got to be careful, especially with like, if you're going out clubbing and things like that, you might just put your phone down for like 1 second and turn around, it's gone. Your jacket is on the seat. You go up to the bar and you come back, your jacket's gone, all your cards are in it. All that type of thing. You have to be really aware, like more so than normal, that, because I've been with people, and we've gone out on a night and they're like, oh, it's gone, the stuff's gone, things like that, my bag's gone, things like that, literally in seconds, especially in clubs and dark places, things like that. So really look after your stuff. What about, while we're on this trip and we'll move on to something nicer, places to avoid? Is that kind of, is there places to avoid, or you just have to research a bit if you're going somewhere a bit too far out there?
Yeah, I think it's that. I don't know if there's anywhere that I out and out say don't go, because everyone's had a bad experience anywhere, but just generally, I don't know, people always say be quite wary of Camden High Street when it's quite dark and late. Not to avoid it, great night out down there, but make sure you're with somebody. Make sure if you're walking on your own, bring someone, share your location with people, let people know who you are. And then a couple of places out east, Dalston isn't bad, but just again, be really wary in the evenings when it gets a bit dark.
Streetwise, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's been streetwise, So moving on from there, right? We were talking earlier about things like apps and websites, weren't we, right? Is there some places that have like all of the ratings or listings on them that we can kind of like, I want to go out tonight, where would be a great place to look if I was looking for somewhere?
I mean, there's so many that I don't think we could recommend just one. But I know I was doing some reading up on this myself because I've been trying to go to a few gigs. And Songkick, I'm actually going to put that in the chat. I don't know if I'm going to Songkick, is a place, all panelists and attendees. there we go, is a place where there's a lot of gigs going on. But generally, if you sort of type in live music in London on like Instagram in the hashtags, there's a load of venues there. ICMP Life, which is our Instagram account, we are always promoting stuff that's going on, gigs that are happening. So if you're looking for something to do, it's quite likely that our social media team have shared something that's going on, like a gig or an open mic or, you know, some kind of event. I'm trying to think where else. Have I written anything down? So we also, I know personally, like this is not ICMP affiliated as such, but there's a promoter that is a student called Home, HOHM. And that is their Instagram and they often put on a lot of gigs, and you can sort of see that they're sort of building a bit of a directory, which is quite good. It's quite good to see.
Brilliant. Do you feel there's a sense of community in London, in the music scene? Massively. I mean, wherever you go, like I said, even if it's not an ICMP affiliated night, you're always going to see people, you know, you're always going to meet up with people. I went to an Olivia Rodrigo concert. She played O2 Brixton. She was amazing. I went to one as well.
Honestly,
Glastonbury. I was at Glastonbury. I watched her at Glastonbury.
She was at the same stage as you, right?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I watched her from the front on the side.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, she was fab. But yeah, I saw like 6 or 7 people I knew. And then there's a couple of like acoustic nights and acoustic showcases. So there's a company called Islington Radio that is a massive community of people that they're building, just of like grassroots live music, sharing showcases at acoustic nights. And then Bright Nights as well is also a really great community that exists that's like adjacent to ICMP, but not directly affiliated.
Oh, Bright Nights. I've not heard of Bright Nights.
Really nice acoustic gigs. I'm playing one tomorrow.
Oh, right. Cool. I mean, that's the cool thing, isn't it, about ICMP, is you'll find that all the tutors are all playing shows as well.
All the time.
Practically all of them. Yeah.
Which is really great.
Apart from Linda. I don't think Linda plays shows.
I don't know. Maybe one day.
Yeah, we'll teach Linda to play guitar.
We will, yes.
Okay, yeah, so we've got loads of tutors and they're out playing shows as well. A lot of the times they can invite students to be in the audience. That's really good. But I think the fact is you can always have a good bit of advice because people aren't out of touch. Do you know what I mean? So, and from any size show, you know what I mean? And some of the tutors actually bring in opportunities, don't they, for students as well to work on the shows or be part of them.
They do. Like that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of our vocals tutors, Lisa Canny, just brought 2 of the Beamer students on tour with her. And they play in her band now, which is really great. And it just shows that if you're, you know, you're attending your classes, you're being proactive, you're really working hard to sort of put yourself out there, the opportunities are there. And it's really great to see the tutors, you know, as they're sort of earning this amazing success that's so well deserved, they're bringing people along with them.
Yeah, I brought 30 Beamer students to a sound check that I did at the show recently, and they all had tickets as well to the concert, so that was really nice as well. So they got to see us doing our thing in the band, so that was really cool. What about other bands that aren't ICMP bands? Do you find that you make friends and connections through, you know, like you were saying, your gigs and you play on your showcases and you go in different places? Do you find that people really work together, or is it competitive?
I don't think I've really experienced the competitive side of it. It definitely seems a lot more like nurturing and quite nice, really, which it kind of surprised me moving to London. I really thought it'd be a lot more cutthroat, but it seems to be a little bit more about everyone helping each other and creating this culture of like belonging and everyone helping each other.
I think it's because music is a social thing. It's a communal thing. You can't survive without other people, right? It's not like, you know, where you can be insular. You need other people to get into it, to collaborate, to borrow things to help you get to certain places, and it's still a spiritual art, isn't it? At the end of the day, you know what I mean? So, you know, you don't go to work in the office and at the end of the day in the office everyone hugs each other and goes, hey man, that was a great day in the office, and hugging. But you see it at a gig, every single time. That's what I love about it. You know, so it is really good. Can you tell me then about some examples of performance opportunities at ICMP? We talked about you could get a gig, but what kind of gigs do we put on?
So we've got a few that happen throughout the academic year. So starting with freshers, let's talk a little bit about that, because we have just announced the first wave of events and tickets. You can see them all online at icmp.ac.uk/freshers. And yeah, basically we're running a series of events. We've got a showcase happening, which we've now just announced the lineup for, which we've had students audition for. And we held some auditions a couple of months ago, and then students got the chance to perform at the Islington Assembly Hall, really iconic venue like we'd said before, along with a headliner who's an alumni, which is really great. And then we've got some other opportunities for, say, Songwriters Circle. So Songwriters Circle is our monthly Nashville style writers round gig. And we all gather in ICMP, and we have a special guest from the industry. We've had loads of different special guests over the years. We've had Richard Fairley, who was a recent student. We've had Frank Turner come in. We've had Orla Garland play for us, and Baby Queen, and loads of others. Every month we have someone new. And then students get to perform in there as well. And that sort of all goes through, you can submit an application to be considered, but also talking to your tutors. That is honestly the best way to play a Songwriter Circle.
And you know what? All of the ICMP stuff's free, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is an amazing thing. You can be here studying, meeting people, using resources, recording, rehearsing for free, everything like that, and go to gigs for free. Yep. Right? You only need your travel card. Absolutely. You just need an oyster. So there is, there's a whole network and social scene built into being in the college, which is you don't get in a lot of colleges. Some colleges you go in and you do business studies, you kind of do it and then you're out. You might have a panel, but here you've got loads of things to do. Go out at night and have fun and meet people in safe areas that don't cost money, which is really amazing. What about if there's students that can't get on to play a gig, say they really want to get on the bill, but they really want to be part of it, is there space for them to work behind the scenes, setting up, roadieing, teching, sound engineering? Do you take students from here to work on your events? We do, we absolutely do. And we can either do that through the Belong scheme, or we can just do it directly. So we've definitely, we always book students to work, say, our open days, and we have performances going on. You've probably seen them actually, maybe if you've been to an open day, always have a student sound engineer. And then, for our gigs, if you want to get involved, come and have a chat with us. You are more than welcome. If you really, you want to get out there and get into the industry and get working on the door, doing lights, doing sound, doing, everything. Yeah, absolutely. Come and join us. And like I said, we've got Songwriters Circle, we have the showcases, we have the end of year showcase, which was Outro, which was at O'Meara this year. Yeah, which we had students get involved with as well. And then we have say, for example, the performance courses always have an end of year series of gigs actually that you all get involved with, which is really great. And then we have, let's have a think, we've got some masterclasses happening that students can get involved with and get, helping out with. And then the Christmas showcase, we did one in December called Uplift, and it was student led. They did everything. And we were just there to facilitate and mentor, which was great. Yeah, I love the masterclasses. Sometimes I'm really, really privileged enough to present them, and I love them. I mean, I'm actually doing a couple myself today for fun. I'm doing the songwriters one, and I'm going to do the production one as well. Nice. But to host them is amazing because recently the ones we've had, that I've been involved with, Yolanda Charles, who's a bass player, big famous session bass player, and we had Phil from Motorhead, which was really fun. Sylvia Massey came in, who's a big producer, Prince, System of a Down, Tool, Johnny Cash, and she came in and she was listening to students' tracks in here and meeting everyone. All these people, they'll meet afterwards, even if it's for a selfie or to talk about music and tracks. So we have tons of masterclasses, and it's really brilliant because you always learn something, one about what you want to do that applies to you, and also about them as a person that you didn't know, right? So masterclasses just go out throughout the year, don't they? And you have a bunch in freshers, but you'll also have a whole bunch that goes, and your songwriting circles. Yeah, exactly. They're all throughout the year. And like you said, they all cover like a different topic, a different genre, a different instrument. So no matter whether you're a drummer, a producer, a songwriter, whatever you do, there'll be one that's like directly related to you and your course and your artistry. But then we also very much encourage you to attend all the other ones, whether you're not a drummer, but maybe you're a front person of a band and you need to learn a bit about the arrangement and all that kind of thing. It's really important that you're learning all these other skills and really immersing yourself in the whole world of it. You can learn so much about things that you never would have dreamed about knowing. Like I've been to an Ableton Live one before, and that's not something I would have ever dipped my toe in before, but I get the chance to learn in like a really judgment-free environment, and just getting to understand what it means and what the opportunities are just by being in that room, because you said yes to the opportunity.
it just opens so many doors.
You're right. The world of music is open to opportunity. It's there. It's there for the taking, a lot of it. And a lot of people don't realise that. So you have to keep putting yourself forwards and trying things out and meeting new people. And, you know, to be really good at one thing, you need to learn things around it. So, you know, if you're playing a gig, it's really good to know, like, lugging the gear. It's good technical stuff. It's good to know about the sound, the lights, all those things. And you can kind of get a taste of those things, can't you, through the events that go on here. So what about, we're talking about community and networking. It's like, how do I meet people, right? That's another thing. You might be in a college surrounded by 1,000 other students, but they're in their lessons, right? Or they're out playing a show. So you put on some networking stuff, don't you? Tell me about that.
Yeah, we so I'll talk about the hub in a second, but generally we also do a couple of networking events throughout the year. We're going to be running one in the autumn time to get everyone connected. But yeah, I think it's just really important that you're meeting people in that environment where it feels okay to ask questions. What do you do? Who are you? What, you know, tell me about your journey, where you've got to, how you've, you know, made the steps to where you're going to be. Yeah, so we ran one for LGBTQ plus History Month in February. It was our Pride and Pizza networking event, and we invited some industry members actually to come down. A lot of alumni who were just starting to really break through with their businesses, their projects. So like PR companies, socials managers, all that kind of thing. It was really great for the students to network with them directly. And we also held one in March, which was a Students of the Arts networking night. So that was lots of different schools that came into ICMP. So we had like Met Film School, and we had, I think we had Lambda come in, we had a couple of arts, basically arts, fashion, film, music, photography, drama, everyone was in the building to have a chat, to network, and then we had some like prompt questions to get people sort of engaged with each other and have a chat. And it was really valuable because you, again, like you might be an artist, but maybe you need a music video. Who's better to call on than another student who, you know, you could exchange some skills. Maybe you don't have to put out a big upfront cost because it's a student and you just want to help each other. And there you go, in the room, someone to do your music video, someone to take pictures of your gig.
Amazing. Kind of, and what were you saying? You said you're going to tell something about the hub. You can get feedback as well, can't you?
They can, yeah. So our Careers and Industry Hub, I really hope you have heard about it by this point, because we talk about it at open days through the admissions process. But if you haven't, the Careers and Industry Hub is our sort of our gateway into the industry. It's staffed by a great team who are there to mentor you, offer one-to-ones, offer advice about, you know, how to get a gig, how to build your artist project, a bit about development. I'm trying to think what else they do. I mean, they'll help build your CV, employability, interview skills, anything you need. And they also do a lot of the booking of our industry guests. So between Ace and then James at the hub, they bring everyone in. So if anyone knows someone in the industry, between yourself and James, they're going to know him.
And what about contacts for like photographers, videographers, things like that? The hub has that as well, don't they?
Yeah, they're probably the best place to start. And then we also have the ICMP Life and Careers Plus platforms. I'll put Careers Plus in here because that is a really great resource. And basically it's allowing you the chance to network with all these different people. And there's databases that exist within our walls that we have, so that you can find these people. And also the ICMP Student and Alumni Forum is a great online networking tool. I'll back that in there as well. Which is basically a very informal Facebook forum, and people are posting things like that all the time. Looking for a photographer, looking for a bassist for my band, looking for a house. I know there is a separate one for that as well, but that it does exist. And anything you need is basically there.
Amazing. So if anyone's got any questions, just chuck them in the chat for us, because I know we're throwing so much information at you at the moment, but it's I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's like a microcosm of the music industry, isn't it, here? So you get what, it's like anything, right? You get what you put into it, right? And music is the same. So the things you need in music is obviously, you know, your gigs, and you need your contacts, and you need your facilities, and you need advice, things like that. And ICMP covers all these things, but you know, we don't just walk into the room and go, here's a packet of all your things you need. You need to understand and reach out, right? And that's why the services are all around you, so you can pick and choose and hop on and off where you need to go. So for instance, if you get here and you go, right, I really want to form a band, well, all of a sudden, well, there's a networking event. I'm going to do that. I need to see some shows. I need to get better. I need to meet people. You go to the shows, right? Then you need a bit of advice. How do I get the people that I need, or the things, the resources? You can go to the hub, right? Then you have your tutors who are all dual professionals, so they can give you advice that's happening in the industry. And then you have like the opportunities, so your ICMP live. So it's all about, it's like anything. You want to build an empire, you have to be the one with the drive, but all of the tools are there in front of you, and you can just tap into them how you want. So we're not going to come in and say, we're going to make you a star. We're going to say, you're going to make yourself a star in a way, you know, or get to where you want to be, you know. So what would you do? A big part of being successful in music at the moment is social media. It's a huge thing, right? And there's so many different ways of approaching it, and you could literally get on your Instagram and have one follower for like 10 years and other people get like 1 million, right? Do we deal with socials and how to work them here?
We do, yeah, in a couple of different ways. So during your curriculum, the actual like learning you physically do in classes, you will have a business module on every course, unless you're studying business itself, and it'll be all included. So you will be learning about how to build an EPK, which is an electronic press kit. You'll be learning how to do, you know, one sheets and pitching for blogs and radio. So when you're releasing music or building a bit of a show reel, if you want to get a gig in London, you know, we can help you do all those things. But it is very much like it's self-motivated, like you said, like you get out what you put in. So we'll give you the tools and we'll show you, here's some best practices. Here's how to maybe look at scheduling your content and coming up with some ideas about how to promote yourself online, how to create a brand for yourself. And I don't just mean as an online persona, I mean as your music, as an artist, as a band, whoever you decide to be and however you decide to sort of package it up. But yeah, then we can sort of give you advice about how to best put that out into the world. And I mean, the number one bit of advice you'll get throughout it all is authenticity. But that can be quite vague, because what does it really mean to be authentic? But I'm not going to get deep. I'm not going to get philosophical about this. But yeah, so we have the curriculum side of it, and then the hub side of it as well. So I often have meetings with the hub, even now as an alumni, have meetings with the hub to sort of show them what I'm doing and get some advice about how to sort of best present myself and how to best market myself.
Yeah, and I see that there's a question here from Soham here, and it says, I'm from Bombay, India. I'm MA songwriting student. Okay, fantastic. Okay. I wanted to ask, can a student find part-time job in London music scene, for example, as a songwriter for a label or intern under A&Rs? Well, the answer is yes. Right, there's different ways of doing this, right? So let's go for the A&Rs bit first. So the A&R bit, that's something you would talk to the hub. You talk to James Brister, Ollie Tatler, and so they're the careers and the advice. So James Brister would have all the contacts, right? And Ollie would be the person for the industry side of like getting the jobs and things. What happens is when, for instance, let's throw, you know, Sony or someone like that, they have an opportunity for an internship, they are in contact with our hub, right? Then that will get messaged out, and you know, we will help to set up the person that gets that internship. We also have something which is with our widening participation, where we can help to fund certain students that couldn't afford to do an internship to actually go out and get a wage to do it as well, because we know that a lot of internships aren't paid, right? But the opportunity is huge. That happens quite a lot, okay? So internships and work schemes with labels and studios, that happens, and that all comes through the hub. So it's worth being in touch with those guys. So get in touch with James and get in touch with Ollie, and they'll point you in the right direction there. Working as a songwriter for a label, well, that's something that is probably a more difficult to get hold of, right? Right, but nothing's impossible. So it's about asking questions. So if a label says, we've got an internship working on our social media, you could either go, well, I'll kind of go for that and I'll work my way into the company. Or you could apply to labels direct saying, you know, do you need this skill? You know, I'm available to do this kind of work for you. The other thing is to try to start small and find a small label that may even be a student-run one, right? And tap into that. So you could work with them. So you might have, for instance, we've got a lot of business students, and they manage other students, right? Everyone has to start somewhere. Maybe you get on a networking event, you meet them and they go, yeah, we need someone to work on our A&R or our songwriting team, you know, but we're going somewhere, we're building this business. Yeah. And if you start off at the beginning of something, usually you're the people at the top when it gets successful. So the answer is yes and yes, you know, so it's talk to the hub, it's network with other students. And, you know, it doesn't have to be established overnight. It takes years to build a really good, solid music career. So it's all about dipping your toe in the water and finding what works for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. So this also brings me on to a subject is paid performance opportunities.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. You're probably going to know more about that than me because I've got them, but I'm in a band that gets paid a different kind of way, right? Yeah. Because I've got an agent. So the way it works for me is I'm in a band that plays larger shows. My agent will go out and get offers from promoters, and then the promoters will offer a certain amount of money and they'll guarantee it, and we'll do the shows and we get paid through an agent. So for me, I'm on a different scale in that type of thing. But what about paid performance opportunities that outside of ICMP and maybe inside?
Yeah, so there's a few around, and obviously there are a lot of gigs where people do ask you to play for free at ground level, and there's debate about whether or not you should take them. I always think if the opportunity is good enough, take it. If you know, it really doesn't matter if it's a nice environment to play in, especially if you're trying to get out there and like practice your set, practice with a band. But in terms of paid, there's a couple of routes. There's obviously function bandy type gigs where you might do like a mixture of covers and originals. So for example, we run a residency at Hard Rock Cafe and we put people on at the Park Lane one and the Piccadilly Circus one every month at the end of the month, and they get paid 50 quid a night per act, which isn't bad for you starting out and doing a 30-minute set, and you get to play originals, which is quite good. And then there's a couple of places that like you'll sell tickets and then you'll get a proportion of the ticket money back. Or you could put on your own gig. Obviously, you'll have to get the upfront cost out yourself, but then whatever you make back is yours. It's profit. And if you can find a venue that doesn't charge you a lot of money, you can get a couple of venues for like 100, 150 quid, a couple of the little ones. Camden, the Fiddler's Elbow in Camden. I believe that's free to hire. And then they keep the bar and then you keep the whatever you want to do.
And also our facilities has a higher rig as well, doesn't it? That you can get really, really cheap or nothing. I don't know what it is. You will know.
It's between 30 and 40 quid, depending on the size of what you want to get out. And then you pay like a 30 quid deposit, and that's it. Then you can hire your stuff.
Your backline, isn't it?
Your backline,
PA backline, things like that. That's really good.
Even if you need like full kit, they'll give you a full kit, which is amazing.
Amazing.
And then obviously you could go down. I'm trying to think what other routes you've got.
Well, we've got one here. Got a question here. Look, perfect. It says, I'm starting my MA music business, ICMP, nice, from September. Is there any opportunities for part-time jobs at ICMP while I'm doing my master's degree? The first one is yes, because we have student ambassadors.
We do.
Right. Yes. And they get paid as well, don't they, for what they do. And there's tons of things going on. You know, we're all talking about all these events. Like, for instance, summer school, we've got student ambassadors in summer school, open days. You can play at open days. You get paid if you play at the open days. So yes, within our structure, student ambassadors and student bands to play certain things that we put on, like experience days and open days. Yes, you can definitely get a job doing that. There's also, I would say, talk to Ollie and James in the hub, because there's things that they would probably come up with as well. So yes, that's a good one. And you know, there's quite a lot of stuff going on like that. Summer schools are here at the moment, aren't they?
There is, there's always something going on. And I think people assume that the summer is going to be really quiet for work as a student ambassador, but it is the busiest time. And then also, I don't know whether you're doing a full-time or a part-time, but every year we do the elections for our student president and vice president, and then our officer roles, and they're paid as well.
Amazing.
So we have a chance to get a little bit of cash for your nights out as a student, while also making a difference in the ICMP community.
Exactly. And under here, I like this one. It says, I'm sure there's something for everyone on every given night in London. Of course, it's packed with gigs. And what sort of music seems to be most popular in London at the moment? Well, the thing about London is every music is popular, isn't it? Right?
There's not one dominant genre scene, I don't think, really.
I mean, there's a rock scene. So if you're looking rock scene, you're probably talking Camden kind of area, rock, punk, alternative. There's a lot of that going on there. If I was to go over Ladbroke Grove way west, it's predominantly, there's always been a lot of kind of really funky and groovy kind of bands over there. Then, you know, if you go to Central, there's a lot of clubs, isn't there? It's like Heaven and places like this, and Brixton as well. So dance music is really big, and DJs is huge, you know, all that kind of thing. What's some of the big clubs here, the dance clubs?
Well, like you said, there's Heaven. I'm trying to think where else. I only ever go out to
Horse
Heaven.
Meat Disco is the year, isn't it? Horse Meat Disco they do here.
I'm trying to think where else have I been. Arts Club in Tottenham Court Road.
Yeah, what about the Rocket? Good. Ministry of Sound is here.
Yeah, that's good. You've got XOYO, you've got Coco, which I think is out east. Fabric, which is like a
Fabric. Oh my God, there's millions of them.
Yeah, there's loads.
Loads. Yeah, and you know, with the rock gigs as well. Obviously, we've got all the main venues, as you say, like the O2 and the Academy. So you're never going to miss a rock gig. But there's loads of like pubs that put rock gigs on, isn't there?
Yes.
Tons of them, in fact.
Yes, so many.
Yeah, so I mean, you can't really, that's the great thing about London. There's never one predominant music scene here. There's always, and there's even like pockets of really weird stuff as well, you know, avant-garde jazz.
Yeah,
for instance. I'm sure there's an avant-garde jazz club somewhere.
I'm so do it's got to be somewhere. And do you know what? There's a jazz club in Camden. Oh, no, there's not. There's a blues kitchen in Camden.
Oh, I love Blues Kitchen.
Really great venue. Would definitely recommend that as a student. And I think on a Wednesday they do 2-for-1 cocktails. So there you go, you can save yourself some money and then see some great live music.
Yeah, the food's awesome. I love Blues Kitchen, really, really good. There's also, if you go into Kingley Street, which is in central London by Liberties, it's just off Oxford Street. There's some nice bars and pubs down there that has music. There's Ain't Nothing But the Blues, which is a fantastic blues venue, tiny little place. Really, really good. So, you know, from the O2 right down to a place that takes like 30, 40 people, there's something happening music genre wise all of the time, isn't there? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this is following on for this one. It says, what venues, there we go, are good for music where it's a bit more experimental, ambient, atmospheric?
Oh,
right, let's have a think on that.
I'm trying to think. It's not really my genre, so I go to so many pop gigs. That's the thing.
Ambient, experimental. You're getting us here. There will be
possibly out east, possibly in Shoreditch way on, like Hackney, Dalston, London Fields.
Because you know, with Shoreditch as well, it opened up. There was like, you know, all those places like the electricity showrooms and all that area there around Old Street. A lot of people opened a lot of very cool clubs there. So I think Old Street around that area, Shoreditch. Definitely a lot of stuff going on there. Very, you know, new and experimental. Yeah,
for sure. But I think once you sort of get here and you sort of drop into it and you chat to other students, you'll find other students with great recommendations as well. Like everyone you speak to has a favorite venue that you've never been to. So
and then there's this question then, what about if we've been talking about all of this stuff, right, that's going on and all this one, and then people are going to go, God, everything's here, I've got everything going on, it's amazing, right? And they get here, right? How do they need to be prepared to get music performances, you know, to apply for them, should I say, through us, or even to, you know, the Swan or whatever, right? What kind of things do you need to be prepared?
Well, I guess first of all, that show reel we mentioned, some footage of you playing a gig, even if it, you know, ideally sort of a full song, if you can get that, get the lights on in the rehearsal room, make it look like a gig and make it a performance, even though it's rehearsal. And then you want all your socials in order. Really helpful if you have the same socials handle, like the same username for everything, because that makes a promoter's life much easier if they're doing some research on you. A lot of people have a website, but that's not always necessary at the level, especially nowadays with Instagram seeming to be like more of your portfolio, and TikTok as well. And then I'm trying to think what else you might need. SoundCloud links for your songs, especially if they're unreleased.
What about, and apart from that, what about actually being rehearsed up? Being tight, knowing your set list, having a good set list that's flowing, and you know, great songs and not massive gaps in between, good gear, making sure your guitars work and all those kind of things. So good gear, good set list. What about the look? Coordinating your look with your other members.
Have a think about that. If say it's your artist project and you've got a session band, having a chat about how you want to all appear. You know, a lot of people sometimes they have the session singers like all in black, but like I don't like that. I want all my band to wear colourful flowers when I play, because like that's what I'm about. But yeah, just having a chat and making sure you're all on the same page and making sure you're presenting yourselves as the brand that is your music as well.
And what about, really important one, being organised? Because you know, if you go, I'd like a gig please, and they go, yeah, we've got one on, you know, so and so the 15th, and you go, oh, I've just got to call everybody, and I've just got to work out the getting there. You need to be prepared as well, don't you? If someone says, I've got a gig for you next week, you can just go, yes, I can do it. You've got your things organised and in order, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, making sure that everyone's sort of on the ball with like booking gigs and dates and stuff. And if you've got one that's a potential, pop it in your group chat. Are you all available? Because then as soon as they ask you, you can immediately say yes, and then you look super professional.
Yeah, there you go. And what about, how do you advertise your stuff if you want to do something? But say for instance, I was part of a community of something and I had a set of events. How would I advertise that with ICMP and out of ICMP? How would I advertise and one of those? And what about myself? How would I advertise myself? So if I came in and said, Jazz, I'm playing the so-and-so club next week, how would I get that out in ICMP?
Cool. So you could go paper physical route. A lot of notice boards up around ICMP. I've just seen loads more posters go up this last week actually for another gig that's happening. And that is the best way to sort of get it out. And then word of mouth at ICMP is a massive thing. Like, I can't believe we forget about that, how much it is of genuinely just having someone go around and ask everyone, oh, you're going to see so-and-so tonight? And they're like, no, where are they playing? Right. And then suddenly you've got a big group of people coming because everyone's talking about it. Hang out by facilities on the hour when the classes change over, and you chat to so many people. Obviously sharing it on socials, tagging ICMP Live, ICMP London, and generally tagging everyone who's involved in it, especially if it's on your Instagram story, because then they'll repost it and immediately then all their followers will just see it straight away. Which is a great way to get it out and about. Then we've got the ICMP Student and Alumni Forum that I mentioned before. People are always putting gigs in there, ticket links and everything, making sure you've got all the information in a really concise way. And also when you're starting to think about these kinds of things, get yourself a nice looking poster, you know, something that's professional looking. If you've got a logo, put it on there, make sure all the information is there, really clear, really simple, you know, don't overcomplicate it. If you write an essay into the ICMP forum, it will get lost. Poster with all the info and a ticket link, however, will get picked up.
Cool. So I know we're coming to the end here, and we seem to have covered the world in itself, right?
So many.
You know, let's get the last question.
Got one more. Yeah. Right.
How about getting your equipment to a venue, having your amps and pedals and guitars? What's the best way of getting from one side of London to another? Well, I've got a couple of comments on this. Think small, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things you can do these days, literally, you can carry on your back. So, you know, if you're a drummer, ring up the venue and say, do you have a kit? If they don't have one, if you're playing on a bill, see if you can do a kit share.
Yeah.
Right. So there's one thing. So that could eliminate your shells, and you might just have to turn up with your cymbals and a snare or something like some breakables. Right. You could probably do that on the tube. Okay. If you're a guitar player, put your guitar on your back. There's many kind of little mini amps and pedals now, right? If the venue doesn't, ring up the venue, say, what is the back line? If they've got an amp that suits you, just turn up with your pedals. Yeah. If they haven't, you can get little mini amp, little things, stick it in your thing, and it can go through the DI. You know, singers obviously take your own microphone, health, safety, COVID, all that type of thing. Always take your own microphone. If you're going to buy one thing, buy like a Shure SM58 or something like this.
Absolutely.
And that will always be really, really good. The other thing is, you know, travel light. So inform the venue beforehand, see what they got. If it's not, see what you can share with another band, right? Take what you need. Make sure you take your spare strings and your spare lead and things like that. Because if you're traveling
batteries for your guitar and your pedals, and power supplies, and you know, all the little things that you think you'll forget, and then you get there and no one has a tuner. That's it. Yeah.
And then the other thing is, watch your gear like a hawk when you're in a place, because if you just leave it lying around in some bar you've never played in on the other side of London, you could probably guarantee you might not have so much to carry home afterwards. Okay, so look after your stuff as well. So I think that's probably a good bit of advice there. We've got 2 minutes, so in the last 2 minutes, what I'm going to say is, we've spoken a lot about everything in this whole list of stuff. How can people now contact us if they want to hear more about what's going on, or they need more follow-up information from this?
Cool. So you can email us at events@icmp.ac.uk. I'm going to put that in the chat now. if you have any direct questions, anything you specifically want to ask us. But the best way to keep in touch is via our social channels. So at ICMP Life or at ICMP London, and then everything's also posted on our, Facebook page, the Student and Alumni Forum. I really recommend joining that immediately, just to get your head in the game with everything. All our freshers events are being posted on there. We've got another wave of events being announced next week, and yeah, that's probably the best way. Any questions about sort of inquiries about admissions, it's inquiries@icmp.ac.uk, but hopefully most of you are through that process by this point. And then do we just have
we've got one last one. We've got 10 seconds on this one. So it just says from Som again, regarding accommodation, do they look for apartments together because it's expensive housing? Would the Freshers Week be a good week? Freshers Week be a good time to connect with like-minded students? Definitely. Well, first of all, yes, for connecting with the students and freshers, definitely. Yeah. The other one is we do have a dedicated housing kind of setup of people, don't we? You can talk to, like finance, there is a department, they can help you find places, help you do shares. There's landlords that put places on the market, there's student prices and things like that. Yeah. And I think they also have some connections to some shared halls as well.
Yes, yeah, they do. If you want to email me at events@icmp.ac.uk, I can direct you to the right people, because we are running one of these Inside Scoop sessions on accommodation with our accommodation officer. I believe off the top of my head it's the 12th of August, but I can check if you want to email me and we'll have a chat through it all.
And that's it. Look, cool. Bang on 12
There we go. Look at us go. Well, thank you so much for getting involved. Thank you, Race, for joining us.
Thank you, Jazz.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Everyone, joining us to chat to us about live venues and the live scene. Hope you got everything you need from it. Any more questions, like I said, please just email us, and we'll hopefully see you at another Inside Scoop. And if not, at Freshers.
Yeah.
Cool.
Amazing.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.